Hi everyone, welcome to the next webinar in Creditor Watch's webinar series. I am taking you through the credit monitoring and how to control your business's credit risk. I'm pretty excited. There's been some really great speakers in the past, and you can find any previous webinars on our website, and I'll pop the link in here at the end. But I'm really excited to go through this particular one. Credit monitoring and risk alerts is a really big part of what I do at the business, and probably one of the biggest value adds to the system. So keen to kick off and get started and take you through it all. Cool, so a bit of an intro to me. My name's Grace. I am part of the Melbourne team here at Creditor Watch, and just did survive the quick little earthquake we've had. I've been with the business for about 4 years, and mostly work with clients in Victoria, South Australia, and over in WA. This is the first webinar that I'm hosting, and I'm used to running a bit more of an interactive demo, so I encourage questions. You can use the control panel to type anything you want us to go into in a bit more detail, and I'll hopefully be able to answer them here. Cool, quick bit of company background. At our core, obviously Creditor Watch is a commercial credit bureau. So we hold a credit file on every business in Australia. So really any entity with an ABN or an ACN. And majority of our clients or our members use the portal to run credit checks or business checks. And that is, as I mentioned, across any entity. So companies, proprietary limited, but also sole traders, trusts and partnerships, which is a bit of a unique feature for a bureau. We also have an ever-growing product stack, some of them on the screen here. For example, Apply Easy helps automate some of the onboarding steps, and PPSR Logic automates that PPSR registration piece, which can be a little bit manual, a little bit finicky. But essentially, all the other products as well are there to complement the credit bureau piece that we have as our core. So a couple of highlights here about Creditor Watch. We are 100% Australian owned. There are now over 55,000 members or clients in the Creditor Watch family, which is really exciting. And a number of them are contributing to the B2B information onto the platform. Our unique data, and really, I'm sure people are aware, but it's around the SME or the smaller business data that we can pull in, as well as some of the top end. 10 million, I think we're actually 11 million plus trade lines now, which adds to all the data. And a really big benefit that's not mentioned here, but we are a fully cloud-based bureau, which means the system itself is really flexible and we can add new data sources really easily. A great example of that will be the ATO tax default data, which is coming soon. And it's really the technology behind our platform that makes the alerts that I'm about to go through possible and as impressive as they are. Cool, so a quick agenda for what we'll go through over the next sort of 15, 20, half an hour. There is, as I mentioned, a Q&A option on the control panel. So I've had someone ask if they can hear me. I hope everyone can. Looks like my microphone is on, but maybe try turning up the computer there. This webinar will also be recorded and sent through to anybody who has registered. As I mentioned, the webinar library, which is the Creditor Watch website /webinars. This recording will be uploaded there as well, along with the other webinars that we've hosted. So really what I want to go through is what business monitoring is, why that's important for you and your business, talking about Creditor Watch alerts specifically, how they're different. We'll also go through how to set them up in the system and talk a little bit to the portfolio health check, which some of you may be familiar with. It's previously known as Data Wash. So my first quick question to kick this off, and bear with me, I've got to get the polls working. Really wanting to understand who's on the webinar at the moment, whether you're currently a Creditor Watch client and working with us. So if you can wiggle your mouses and select one of the following, it's going to help me tailor the sort of information that I go through here. Awesome. Thank you. That's a good result. Looks like a pretty nice split, leaning a little bit towards more Creditor Watch customers. So really, for those of you non-users, if anything we go through is a little bit more in depth, or you just want some more information, please do jump on those questions, or you can obviously email us and contact your account manager. We'll try and be in touch after this as well if you're interested. So stay tuned. So business credit monitoring, what is it? And really, why is it important? Essentially, monitoring businesses really is about keeping tabs on your customers or suppliers and being kept up to date with what's happening behind the scenes, so behind closed doors or in their ASIC setup. Monitoring is arguably more important than ever, given everything that's going on in Australia at the moment. It's really important to get alerted to any major changes that could potentially affect the financial health of the customers that you're working with and trading with, and their ability to actually pay you on time. So being aware of it as early as possible. Monitoring and risk alerts can also help you prioritize collections. So for example, if you notice a credit score or the risk score taking a bit of a dip for one or a couple of your customers, you may jump them to the top of your collections list and start chasing them a little bit earlier or a little bit harder. You can also use the alerts to adjust trading terms. If you notice somebody you work with is defaulting on other suppliers, you may reduce their credit limit or move them to COD until they've been able to pay on time, for example. Essentially, the risk alerts that you can get access to is another layer of facts and information from the 50-odd thousand businesses that are using the portal, and it kind of overlays your own internal intel to back up what you might be hearing on the industry. The Creditor Watch system has really evolved the way alerts are managed, and has set up live integrations with a lot of the data sources that we work with and places we partner. So the ability to have real-time alerts the day that it happens or within that 24-hour period lets you react a lot quicker internally or making those contacts. A good example is being able to be the first supplier to contact a liquidator that gets appointed, rather than waiting for that letter to come through in the post or the liquidator or the administrator to contact you in a long list of creditors. You can get that email alert as soon as it happens and jump on the phone. It's really emphasizing the advantage of having these API integrations, is what they're called, to automate and have that tech advantage rather than a third person or waiting for your rep to kind of come contact you or somebody you know in the industry to let you know something's changing with an important customer or important supplier. You can be on the ball. It's also really easy to set up. For those of you who've been in the system, you'll probably know. You can customize that list, watch anybody that's of interest to you. Given that we are a commercial bureau, there's a lot less restrictions on who you can look into and monitor as well. So watching businesses that you partner with especially major suppliers. If they are in any difficulty, that may be something you need to address, and being aware of it as early as possible is really, really important. Before I go through the exact types of alerts, did anybody have any questions? Got one here. Look. That's a great question. What are the parameters that trigger the alerts? So I'll hopefully address that in the next slide for you, Mark. It's really a whole suite of different sources that are, like I said, live integrations, and when a change happens in that system, we'll update that. So if there's a change to the credit report, essentially, you'll get that alert. You can also customize the different levels of risk alerts that you're receiving. So hopefully to answer that question here, some of the different types of alerts that Creditor Watch offers. Any of the adverse data, obviously, that appears on a credit report. So we're talking about court actions, so judgments through the courts, payment defaults supplied by other members, which will update their credit score as well. Mercantile inquiries, so any debt collectors chasing that particular business that you're watching, it's important to know about. And definitely insolvency notices, so the live integration into the insolvency, the government websites there. We will obviously alert you to risk score changes as well. So there are a number of factors that impact an entity's risk score, and there's been some great webinars, I know, and some good blog posts going into that in a bit more detail. But essentially, it's the adverse data mentioned, plus the behavioural and demographic data that we have on file. So there's something like 360 different points of data on every entity, and with our system, they're all constantly changing and they're live. So the way they interact with each other changes to those trade lines. So the payment trends will impact a score and then update you. So the idea there is that you're getting heads up as early as possible before, ideally, the insolvency notice. The ASIC status changes is a really big one that everyone will look out for. So a deregistration, strike-off actions. I know a couple of years back there was a client who had a big pallet in their warehouse of about, I don't know, $40,000 worth of stock. It was a huge order going out. They received the daily alert email that actually announced this particular customer was winding up, and ran down to the warehouse, said, look, hold, don't send the shipment yet. And sure enough, that business was going under. So pretty powerful in that case to have that information timely and that day. Doesn't always happen that perfectly, but I'm sure that particular client was really glad to get the alert that day. Some of the other alerts mentioned are cross-directorship changes. So you can actually choose to receive alerts on associated entities as well. We know, for example, a director that has adverse or financial difficulty happening in other businesses that they work in can have a knock-on effect for the one that you're trading with. So that's part of our director due diligence piece, including bankruptcy information as well. So have a look into that if you like. There's also the option to receive just general ASIC changes. So, for example, a change to address or trading name, as well as updates to directors of the business and shareholders. I know a number of my clients will use those alerts to send a new personal guarantee, for example, for their customers to sign. If the directors have changed, someone they've had a relationship with for a long time, or in some instances, send over a brand new credit application. Cool, just check if there's any questions. Oh, a nice tricky question about risk scores and payment ratings and the difference. I probably won't go into too much detail because I know we do have other webinars talking about that one. But essentially a risk score is the rating and the percentage chance of an entity defaulting or going into administration, whereas a payment rating indicates how they pay their bills. So if you see a change to a payment rating, it may mean they've changed and started delaying how they pay suppliers, but it could also mean that they are struggling a little bit financially. So personally, a risk score would be something that I keep a closer eye on, and definitely check their credit report when you receive that alert to see if anything else is happening. And a payment rating for me would be watching how they are paying their next couple of bills. Hopefully that helps answer your question, Jim. So we've got a screenshot here of just a sample email alert that's come through. As you can see, they separate out for you the different types of alerts, so high, medium, and low. This might also help where you direct your attention. Jumping back. So all of these are clickable. So when you receive the email, it's really easy. If you're interested in seeing a bit more about that potential alert, you just select the company name there, and that will open up their credit file. The different levels, look, it is good to pay attention to even some of the smaller alerts, because the idea is we're giving you as early warning signs as we can. So something like a payment rating change may pop up well before the risk score changes, and that would give you that indication of some sort of a financial pressures, maybe making them pay their bills a bit later. And then you can see the alerts coming through for potentially defaults, then court actions, and there's a sort of road to insolvency that is loosely followed for a lot of these insolvencies that come through. Cool. So any questions? Again, I know it's been good they're coming through. I just have to keep an eye on them. If I don't get to all of these, we will try and attempt to get back to you after the webinar. So I have another poll question for you, which I think popped up before. I'm keen to understand who would like to see these kind of risk alerts on their customer list. So obviously happy to get somebody to be in touch, help you set that up, and have a bit of a look at what your alerts will look like. I'm sure there is a reason you've clicked on this webinar. So give you a couple minutes to pop a note down there. Great, cool. I'll just close off that poll. Thank you for that, guys. So for a bit of context, for those of you that aren't using CreditorWatch yet, this is basically how to monitor a customer. We'll go through a few different ways that you can add them to your watch list. This screen here is your home screen. Some of you will be quite familiar with. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse moving there, but next to the search button in green, there's a search bar. So searching, you can search by ABN or ACN, the entity name, or even the trading name that you know them as. It is always most accurate to use an ABN or ACN to make sure that you're obviously getting alerts on the right entity. So there is a portfolio health check, which I'll speak to a bit later, that can help make sure you've got the right entities in there as well. So once you are in their credit file, this is a live view of a sample credit file. You just jump on and tick this green box or toggle this monitor for changes button, and you'll see that they appear active. A green bar will drop down as well, letting you know that they've been added to your customer list. This demo file here is also a good example of the different types of alerts that you'll get. So as we spoke about the adverse data, defaults, and court actions, quite a few alerts coming through for John Doe here. And the obvious ASIC publish notices is a really important one. When you have many customers and one by one is not really possible or timely, we do have ways to upload your customer list on bulk. So back at that dashboard home screen, there will be a customer list tab alongside some of these others, which will let you add businesses and remove them if you just want to customize that list. once you have customers in here, of course, you can always download that list to a CSV if you want to manage them differently. The lovely customer list manager widget will make it really easy to either upload a CSV, do this search by a copy paste of ABNs in a list, whichever is easiest. And once you have all the entities you are interested in uploaded into your watch list, I like to think of it as the system essentially running a credit report every single day on all of your customers or suppliers. So it's an automated credit check without you having to action anything. Just lets you sleep easy that constantly there's credit reports or credit checks being run in the background, and then you'll get an alert on that. So really good. I had another question there. How many emails? Sorry, I missed that one. So the emails come out daily. The email screenshot that I showed you, once a day around midday. And if nothing has changed on your particular watch list, you won't get an email that day. So sometimes it may be a simple address change or ABN change. Other times you'll see something that you might want to drill into a bit deeper, like the adverse data. Great. So the portfolio health check that I mentioned, this is a really useful tool. I will often set this up and run this for my clients before they monitor ongoing. It's essentially a report which provides a review and a full overview of your ledger. So it lets you see where any risk lies. Think of it as I guess, viewing any historical alerts that you wouldn't have had if you're setting up CreditorWatch. And it's a really good exercise in data cleansing. So if, for example, you have acquired a new business and taken on some new customers, or brought on a new contact that brings customers on board, you are really looking at a different risk portfolio. So having a wash and looking at that. If your business model changes, I spoke with a tools manufacturer who was moving from a distribution model, supplying their tools and products through distributors, to going directly to the trades. So really needed a wash on all the sole traders that had come through to see if there's anything adverse or anything they should be aware of before setting up credit accounts and limits with those customers. Or even, it's not mentioned here, if you are changing systems, so new ERPs or internally, it's a good time to wash and cleanse that data before you upload old or incorrect ABN information, for example, into a new system. Another question about customizing or changing the ABN if you pick the wrong company. Yes, yeah, definitely. As mentioned, that customer list can be customized. So jump into the customer list tab and you can add and remove them there, or jump into the incorrect ABN, untick that green toggling monitor for changes, and then find the correct one and add them in. So reach out to the support line if there's anything, or your account manager if you need a bit of a hand with that one, Andrew. Cool, just to show a quick example of the portfolio health check here. On the left, you've got a bit of a summary of the stats that you might get back. Roughly, it's about 10 to 15% of a ledger that has some adverse data. So it's good to know which particular ones to drill into. And then we provide that full report back. So we give you information on, obviously, a breakdown. This sample on the right here shows a breakdown of different states, but we can also, well, part of that report is different types of entities, public and private, trusts, that sort of information. So it's a really nice report to summarize your portfolio. Excellent. So I do have another poll question for you all. Anybody that is chasing a little bit more information on a portfolio health check. As mentioned, this is a report that we use to then upload to your customer list and really kickstart the alerts and the monitoring for you. So worth speaking with someone about that if you're interested. I'll give another minute. Thank you, guys. Great. So really what I hope you guys got out of today was really how important it is to keep tabs on the entities that you deal with. It can impact your ability to get paid and your ability to continue trading if it's suppliers. The Creditor Watch system, as we spoke about, does offer that real-time, immediate and automated alerts and updates. So it's the guardian angel that's watching over your customers, and having the ability to really proactively know who you're dealing with and what's happening in your B2B space. So any final questions before we log off? Someone's dropped off a customer list. Yeah, just make sure when you're in their credit report that green button that says monitor for changes, make sure that that's grayed and it says monitoring switched on. Again, anything that wasn't answered here, please do feel free to follow up. Send us an email or give us a call or reach out on LinkedIn. As I mentioned, that website at the bottom there is where this recording will be uploaded, and if you registered and you're sitting on here or had any issues with audio, this will be sent out. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. It was nice to share one of the core products, the risk alerts and monitoring, and I hope to catch up with all of you soon. Take care. Thank you.